We hear the term AI thrown around constantly, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, it turns out it's not just one thing. To really get it, you gotta look at the four classic goals that have been driving AI development for decades. So let's break them down.
So just for a second, when you hear AI, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it some kind of robot from a movie? Or maybe something you use every single day without even thinking about it?
For a lot of us, it's probably one of these, right? Futuristic robots, super sleek self-driving cars, or maybe the voice assistant on your phone. And hey, you're not wrong. These are absolutely part of the AI story. But there's a much clearer, more structured way to understand what these technologies are all trying to do. And that's exactly what we're going to get into.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the four big goals of AI. Then, we'll dive into the two that are all about being human. After that, we'll check out the two that are focused on being rational. And finally, we'll see how it all clicks together to give us the full picture. Okay, so let's jump right in. The most important idea here is that AI isn't some single monolithic thing. It's a whole field of study with four really distinct goals that have guided researchers for years. And honestly, once you get a handle on these four classic approaches, the entire, sometimes confusing world of AI just starts to make a whole lot more sense. This is the key. And here they are. You've got acting humanly and thinking humanly. We can group those together as the human-centered approaches. Then there's acting rationally and thinking rationally, which, you guessed it, are the rationality-centered ones. Let's start with that first pair. So these first two goals, they've got one major thing in common. They both use us, humanity, as the ultimate measuring stick for success. It's all about mimicking people. First up, acting humanly. The name of the game here is imitation, pure and simple. The AI doesn't have to get us, it just has to act like us so well that it's indistinguishable. This is the whole idea behind the famous Turing test, right? If you're messaging something and you can't tell if it's a person or a machine, then that AI has totally nailed the acting humanly goal. A really convincing customer service chatbot is a perfect example. You know, a great way to think about this is like an actor in a play. They don't need to actually feel the character's emotions or understand the deep historical context of the lines. They just have to deliver them convincingly enough to make the audience believe it. That's what an AI that acts humanly does. It's all about the performance. Okay, now for the second human-centered approach, thinking humanly. This one goes a whole lot deeper. It's not about just faking it. It's about actually replicating the process inside our heads. The goal here is to build a system that models how our brains are wired, how we learn stuff, how we remember things, how we make choices. Think about an AI that's being taught to understand speech by mimicking the way a toddler learns a language. So this is less like an actor and more like a student who's not just trying to get the right answer on the test. No, they're trying to copy the teacher's exact thought process for solving the problem. It's all about the internal journey, the step-by-step thinking, not just the final result. So let's lock this in. Acting humanly is all about the outside. It's mimicking what we can see, our external behavior. Thinking humanly is all about the inside. It's trying to model the internal thought process. One's a performance, the other is a simulation of the mind itself. All right, let's switch gears to our second pair of goals. With these, we stop caring about mimicking humans. The focus shifts entirely to logic and achieving the absolute best, most optimal outcome possible. This is the world of rationality. So, acting rationally. This is a big one. It's arguably the most dominant approach in AI today. A rational agent, as it's called, is basically a system that always picks the action that will get it closer to its goal. It doesn't care one bit if a human would do the same thing. The perfect example? A self-driving car calculating the absolute safest and most efficient route to get you where you're going. Think about a student who's creating the perfectly optimized study plan to ace their exams. They're not just doing what their friends are doing. No, they're making cold, calculated, rational choices, like spending more time on their weakest subjects to maximize their final score. That's the heart of acting rationally. And that brings us to our final approach, thinking rationally. This is the realm of pure, undeniable logic. It's all about building systems that follow super strict rules of reasoning to come to conclusions that are provably correct. You know that classic example. If you tell it all humans are mortal and then you tell it Socrates is a human, it will logically conclude Socrates is mortal. There's no guesswork, it's just rules. This is a lot like proving a theorem in math class. You can't just say, well, it kind of feels right. You have to follow a precise sequence of logical steps, and each one has to be justified by a rule or an axiom. That is exactly how an AI that's thinking rationally works. It's just following the laws of thought.
So, to wrap up this second pair, acting rationally is all about the final score. It's pragmatic, it just wants to achieve the best possible outcome in the real world. Thinking rationally, on the other hand, is all about the process. It's principled. It's focused on following the formally correct logic to reach a conclusion no matter what.
Okay, we've made it through all 4 of the classic goals. So now, let's pull it all together and see how this creates the complete picture of what artificial intelligence is really all about.
This chart really is the whole shebang. So let's run through it quick. You've got acting humanly, focused on mimicking behavior. Think chatbots. Then there's thinking humanly, focused on modeling mental processes, like cognitive learning systems. Third, acting rationally, which is all about making optimal decisions, like our self-driving car. And finally, thinking rationally, which uses formal logic, like you'd see in old-school expert systems. This framework right here is your new superpower for understanding any AI you come across.
But here's the real kicker, and this is maybe the most important part. In the real world, these aren't separate boxes. The most powerful AI systems we use today are actually a blend. I mean, think about it. A really great chatbot has to act humanly so it's not weird to talk to, but it also has to act rationally to give you a useful, correct answer. It's that mix and match combination that makes modern AI so incredibly powerful. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have this framework, which of these 4 goals do you think you run into the most in your own daily life? Is it the rational actor in your phone's GPS? The human-like actor in your smart speaker? Once you start looking for it, you'll start to see this stuff